So Whitney kind of stole half of my sermon. No, it's fine. But we may skip over some of the pieces that she covered really wonderfully. We should have checked on each other's notes. So who here has been watching the Paris Olympics? Yeah, woo! They're pretty epic this year. I don't know about y'all. Are we feeling the spirit? Yeah, me too. I can't help but tear up at some of the opening ceremonies, different parts of it. The hot air balloon going up really got me. We'll come back to that. Simone Biles, oh, she had the twisties and now she doesn't have the twisties and she won gold. It's so exciting. The joy, the beauty, the skill, the dashed hopes, the sheer human excellence on display. There's nothing like it. And I was taught that worship is lifting up that which is of worth. And the Olympics fits the bill, if you ask me. And Whitney even laid out the appetizer that it's even connected to religion. So I've always loved watching the Olympics. The first one that I was old enough to remember was the 1998 Winter Games in Nagano, Japan. I had never really seen anything like it. The spectacle, the beauty, the music, the sports that I didn't know existed. I grew up right here in East Tennessee, so the closest to winter sports that I had ever come was my dad pulling me by a rope on a trash can lid in like the merest suggestion of snow, you know what I'm talking about? So all of a sudden on TV, so much skiing, curling, bobsledding, the luge. What is this? It was like a whole new world. Not to mention, in 1998, there was the epic figure skating rivalry of Tara Lipinski and Michelle Kwan. Whoa, it was so epic. Out there looking like competing Disney princesses. Many of you may have similar fond memories of the Olympics. And if you've got kiddos who are watching them for the first time or are old enough to remember them for the first time, I hope y'all are having an incredible time with them. One of my friends from Nashville has been sharing videos of her 4-year-old doing little flips on the couch. It's so cute. Many of you may know about the origins of the Olympics. I have written here because Whitney told us about them. But some may not. Nope, we all do now. Okay, that's great. So she hit the big points, but there's a little more I want to expand on. This was, in ancient Greece, a world before nations existed, right? There were just these little city-states that were really close to each other and just fought all the time. And the first Olympics, like Whitney said, was in 776 BC, and there was only one event. It was just the 200-meter dash. That was it. And a baker won. You know what I mean? Way lower stakes. The ancient games eventually included competitions for wrestling, fighting, throwing the javelin, hurling the discus, sprinting with armor on, sprinting with nothing on, all sorts of stuff they came up with. And it also held contests for music, singing, and poetry, which I don't know if you all have seen the news, but the singer Pharrell is trying to bring that back. So if that's something you're into, it's possible. The ancient Olympics occurred every 4 years for over a millennium, until in 391 AD when, as we heard, a Christian Roman emperor banned pagan practices. And since, the Olympics obviously were involved with the Greek gods, but also rituals like lighting the sacred fire of Hestia and being crowned with Apollo's laurels, they were out. No more Olympics. Which is super ironic since the emperor's name was Theodosius, which is Greek for God's gift. Okay, buddy, calm down. But these games were meant to be for the glory of the gods who had created us in this worldview. So all that we could achieve was not only our success, but their success. Another way of looking at it is all of our achievements are not only our success, but the success of all life that has evolved on this planet, working towards similar goals. Cut to 1,500 years later, and it's 1896, the height of the Industrial Revolution and globalization. The world is full of optimism and colonialism. The religious wars have mostly chilled out, and nations have started forming. People could travel further than they ever could before, and in 1896, there had not been any world wars yet. So we thought the sky was the limit. The first of the modern games was held in Athens, Greece, and the second was held in Paris. So it's pretty exciting that they're back in Paris now. The modern games founder, Pierre de Coubertin, I don't know, it's French, had very wise philosophies behind this project. He thought that the games were not solely about winning. They weren't just about beating each other, but that, quote, "The important thing in life is not the triumph, but the struggle. The essential thing is not to have conquered, but to have fought well," end quote. So throughout the 1900s, the symbols and traditions of the Olympics began to emerge, like the symbol of the 5 linked rings representing the continents. There are 7 continents, you say? Don't worry about it. They count the Americas as 1, and Antarctica doesn't count because it's basically a big ice cube, so penguins are not allowed to compete. And there are also the Olympic mascots. Anyway, but it isn't all fun and games. This tradition requires international community. The Olympics literally couldn't exist without it. It always has. Now, Whitney told us about the Olympic truce, and this is exactly right. From the beginning of the games and from the early stages of the modern games, this was part of why the Olympics were founded, was so we could have a break from the hostilities and just play a little bit. The athletes could step away from all these wars and not be killed as they traveled. When this happened, a side effect was that they all got to meet each other and realize, oh, we're not that different. I love to run, you love to run. I love to throw the disc, you love to throw the disc. It actually built community in ways these city-states and these nations couldn't before. The truce itself was officially revived in the 1990s. So the United Nations now, every 2 years before the Olympics, has a resolution that they vote on to have an official Olympic truce. Russia broke the Olympic truce when it attacked the Ukraine 2 years ago. In fact, Russia has broken the truce 3 different times and kind of continues to. Naughty Russia. The Olympic truce is taking place this year from July 19th to September 15th. So 1 week before the games to 1 week after the games. And I'm sure we can think of several different conflicts going on right now that violate this ancient practice of peace. Of course, breaking the Olympic truce doesn't really have any consequences, except for lost honor. No penalties, but failure to reach one of humanity's ultimate goals, world peace. World peace is a goal worth working towards, more than any medal or record. The Olympic motto used to be just faster, higher, stronger, but was changed after the pandemic to faster, higher, stronger, together. Because we recognized no matter our national borders, we are connected. The pandemic really proved that. Even when we're far apart, what happens to us affects others. The president of the Paris Olympics Organizing Committee recently said, "Sports appeal to tolerance and respect. Religious and cultural differences do not matter, and diversity is often actually a strength because the complementarity of athletes from different backgrounds makes a team better," as we have seen just in the American gymnastics teams. Anyway, that was an interjection for me. We continue the quote, "In sport, being different is what makes the difference. The games are the best embodiment of the power of sport because they spread its values of sharing, tolerance, and respect throughout the world. They combine the values of sport and the diversity of the world. They are universal," end quote. There was a lot happening in this year's opening ceremonies. I don't know if you got a chance to watch. Woo, what a ride. So I'd need a dissertation instead of a sermon to cover all of it. So I'll just focus on the end of it, the conclusion, and one of the Olympics' most enduring traditions, the Olympic flame. This fire is ritually lit in Greece every 2 years by amplifying the light of the sun with a big mirror at the ruins of the Temple of Hera. It is transported from Greece, person by person, to the host city by international relay. Once, to cross the Atlantic, they converted it into a radio wave and laser beam. Okay, that's pretty cool. This year, the flame arrived at the Olympic cauldron, which took the form of a hot air balloon, in the very garden where a hot air balloon became the very first human-carrying flight apparatus ever. So if you were wondering, why is the cauldron a hot air balloon? It's because that's when humanity learned how to go even higher than we can on our own two legs. It is one of the characteristics of Unitarianism, and one of my own personal favorite aspects of humanity, that we seem to have a hunger to transcend limitations. Prometheus stole fire from the Greek gods, so the myth goes. God granted Moses great purpose and powers with a burning bush. Our own flaming chalice symbol harkens to the interreligious tradition of the eternal flame. We are children of the gods, or conscious aspects of the universe, imbued with a deep, unquenchable desire to run faster, fly higher, become stronger, and we have learned that we must do it together. Most of us are not Olympic athletes, but we are still bearers of this grand tradition and great possibility. The Olympics invites us to dream, to work hard, to take joy in our shared humanity, to hope for enduring peace, and to have a little bit of fun. In the name of the old gods and the new, or in the vast godless universe where we create our own collective destiny, may it be so. May we make it so.